Whoa, baby. Okay, according to this, you are on. And when you're done, I'm going to make a special announcement.
We are ladies and gentlemen, good morning, Sacred Grounds. Mr. Brady is about to make a special announcement, and then I will read this humdrum.
I thought you were supposed to do that.
Okay, I'm here. You what do you want, man?
Okay, let me just do. Well, Sharon's
You
got
want to go
pictures
yet?
Here, hold on a second. She's going to do. I'll explain that in a minute. All right, let me do this. All right.
Here she comes.
Oh, there she comes. Never mind. All right. Ladies, am I framed correctly?
Yes,
Really?
you're framed perfectly.
Beautiful. All right. This is the next envelope containing the funds requisite for the purchase of the Jack Foley honorary sandwich.
Okay.
And if you have signed in, your name is next to a number. And Jane Radis over there, who's looking at me surprised at me like because I said, please do this. She doesn't know what she's doing yet. If you would take that deck of cards, shuffle them slightly, and then pick the top card, and we will see if that number matches a name. And if it does, that is the owner of the Jack Foley honorary sandwich for the evening. This will continue until I've used up the funds that Jack Foley gave to me for this purpose.
Okay.
11. Who is number 11 on the list?
Martin Joseph.
Martin Joseph, the honorary Jack Foley sandwich is yours.
Thank you, sir.
Now he's going to read the intro.
I'll just stand by myself.
Thank you, Dad. Your kickback is in the mail.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so we are ready to roll here. But first, we have to bore you with these sacred intro checklist. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. Welcome to Sacred Grounds with Dad. Brady is the current host of this longest running open mic in the known and unknown universe, serving up good food, and that's a fact.
Fine poetry says.
And more or less fine poetry since 1972. Please support this reading by enjoying the food and drink served here. And let's have a hand for Teddy, our host! All right. Poetry of all kinds, ladies and gents, is welcome, but we ask you to respect the mic.
Respect the mic.
Keep conversations to a whisper or not at all.
Yeah, well,
Put
yeah.
phones on mute or vibrate, and do not distract the speakers or pass in front of them. I have a little trick, which is that I wait until between poets, but when I make passages and transitions and things like that. So think about that, as opposed to like while somebody is in the midst of their deep poem and you walk right in front of them and they lose their train of thought.
Derailing it, as it were.
Derailed you. That's not very nice.
No.
Also, keep to the adjective time limit.
Yes.
5 minutes usually, but nowadays 4 is better. Have 2 shows at the 7-ish and 8:40-ish or so. By going short on your time, it helps to get everyone on the mic. Sacred Grounds really seriously? Is this a typo? Sacred's longest standing tradition. If you want to be in the loop, we've opted an opt-in email, see one of the hosts, that would be that guy, a Facebook page, and we stream live, which is really cool. Thanks to Mr. Natural, who was here a minute ago.
And didn't get involved.
See the URL on the wall, see it there, boom, you can view it from home, which is really cool. And usually it works. Family and friends can see you live. Later on, you can tell them, I'm at minute number 32 of this, and you just send them the URL. And then they can ignore everybody else. If you want to hear so-and-so's poem again, why you can. Why do a self-critique if you really want to, and you can hear what you actually said. And it is the way to put on the word, yours, mine, and ours. Ongoing theme, never doubt that a small group of committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, is the only thing that ever has. Margaret Mead.
Margaret.
This evening's theme is
wokeness, as in W-O-K-E and N-E-S-S, wokeness.
Also, next week's feature will be...
Next week's feature will be the mighty, the powerful, the wonderful, the magical Martin Hickle for crying out loud.
Martin Hickle, not Martin Joseph.
No, Martin Hickle. We know Martin Joseph.
The keynote who will give the Queen's Wave
Is not here. They may come here. We don't know about that. I told him I would hold the spot. I kept my promise. Or her, it, they, them, and so we may not have one.
Okay.
Our little feather will address the audience.
Yes, little feather.
As to the second show, last word will be
The
the mini feature is
you meant the keynote before.
the last show, the second show, the last word. I said it very clearly.
Sanderell's the last word.
And the minute.
Well, yeah, I showed the door prices now.
Be
So-
advised that although we record the evening, if an
Thank you.
audience member, that's you, Martin, wishes to do so, please ask permission of yourself and Dan so that we will assume you've done so.
Yes.
We conclude by 9:50. Anything else, you better be the one stacking the chairs.
Stacking.
Okay.
So we have two calendars, count them two. This is from the Nature Conservancy, since, and this is also a pocket count from the Nature Conservancy. This is the third one they've sent me. I don't need more than one, so I'm giving these away. J.K. Rowling's The Casual Vacancy, as shown now on HBO, in case you want that. Blaze, what is it? I can't read it.
Blaise Pascal?
No. I can't. Blaze, what?
He said it.
What is it?
Blaise Senders?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. The Indiana Jones of French literature.
Oh, sacre bleu. And then we have a National Geographic from, where was this from? Oh, 2018, that was after the change. No, 2019. And July of 2019, one of my favorite pictures of all time. Yeah, I've written poems about that picture. It's a great picture.
And the whole Earth catalog.
Yeah, the whole
Whole
Earth
Earth
catalog.
catalog.
And then if those don't float your boat, these may be of note. You can choose the theme or prompt next week. Be a co-pilot or be another co-pilot. I like having two, so that way I can, relax and take it easy. Being the mini feature, doing the last word, or being the keynote who speaks first. And as far as the keynote goes, is David E. is not here, so that takes care of that.
Okay,
So if he shows up, we'll put him on later.
Mr. Chairman, I yield the remainder of my time to Dan Brady and the usual suspects.
And the usual suspect. Chris. Chris is the first person up. Are you new here?
Yes.
Okay, now come on, people. It's a new person.
By the way, the mic's not going through the monitor. I'm just saying, it's not going through the monitor.
Hang on, hold on a second.
No, it's not. I'm just saying. All right. There you go.
You have to get really close though, or else it won't project.
Hello.
There.
A little closer, a little more.
I'm just louder than the speaker, that's all.
So, the first piece's title is Epitaph. It's early. A light rain is falling over the lake. From here, the shoreline extends in both directions, only to disappear beyond the periphery and reappear on the other side. Running before verdant hills lined with many trees, whose leafy crowns carry with them vague memories of the tropics. The hills are growing into mountains. More rain falls. A thin layer of fog appears between grass-covered peaks. The fog is descending. A long breath exhaled. Mountains turn slowly into shadows. Solitude settles amongst the trees, while the gray, formless and pale, approaches. It's all fog beyond the lake now. A massive field is drifting closer, followed by a distant voice promising erasure. The rain is so loud. In time, the lake will disappear. It's already halfway gone. The waves wash in quietly. Sounds are starting to dull. Numbness pervades. Wisps of gray appear at the fringe, eating slowly through what little remains until there's nothing left.
Wow.
Alright, second poem's title is The Finnish Girl, shorter. Right. She's sitting quietly on the stool with her hands clasped together, waiting for something to happen. In her arms, I see the union of ice and vitality, turquoise, baby blue, and fire. She looks off to the side, observing the changing light, with cobalt eyes that pierce before healing. Alright, last one's called Invocation. Night falls. I'm sitting inside a circle, drawn in red earth by the fire burning at its center. The wood crackles, sending a wave into the darkness, only to have it wither in the flatlands and never reach the mountains that lie beyond. There are ghosts in those mountains. I call to them, but they don't respond. Still, I think of all that they were. Something invisible stirs atop the mountains. It could be nothing, or a shadow descending. I hope they're all together. In the distance, a zephyr glides across the earthen floor. I can see the shadow now, shrouded in its own darkness, floating through the vast expanse between the mountains and here. The shadow is approaching. Soon it'll reach the light's edge. As it crosses the threshold, the shadow starts to unravel, revealing a human silhouette. At first, there's only one. Then one becomes two, and two become many. They walk silently through the circle, memories bathed in the fire's light. My ancestors have returned. We're all together again.
Wow.
Thank you.
Jane is next, and after Jane is Owen.
The magical and wondrous Jane Aradis. Give her a nice round of applause. Lower that for her. I'm doing close, so that's good. Let me make
Thank
sure
you. I have 2 poems.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me just focus you in there. There you go.
Being in many lives. Do we inhabit each life we get, or are we separate from it? Do we know we are ourselves? I don't think so. I will see a man walking in a field in India. I'm on a train, and I imagine what it's like to be him, walking in the dirt, having nothing, the poorest. But what do I know? That's my slanted perspective, like bugs on a screen hit by the afternoon light, seeming rainbow-like. So I'm being many people, but being no one. I have been many people, and now am no one. I stand on lopsided ground. It's kind of depressing. That's a depressing one. Okay. This is about a cat I used to have. Brady. All Brady, all the time. If I could talk through Brady, I wouldn't have to worry about people. Have never done well with them, always a strain. Loneliness floods in, soft lemony film settling on everything in the room. If I could talk through Birdie, he could speak the words and everyone would love him because he's so cute. I could stay in the background, a cat's smile on my face. Or I could talk like a parrot, mimicking and saying nothing. Green bird in a golden cage, talking, talking, talking. Thank you.
Beautiful, Jane. Thank you for your
After
generous
Owen
time.
is Edward.
Owen, then Edward. All right. Rolling right along. Good night, Pam. I guess raise that up a bit. There we go. Beautiful, thank you. Sharon.
Okay,
Righty, tighty.
first I'll read, this is an oldie but, an old one, this is an oldie but goodie. To a Land of Oz. Black sand evolving to an arrow blue sky, piercing Brobdignagians disguised as dwarfs, signal each other to race like boy and girl towards the elegant, commanding, always consistent surf, corroding, whispering, and frolicking towards the fascination of our cathedral of plenitude. Black sand reaching, reacting with deep longing fingers to forgive another sleight of hand love affair with nothing. Not even the air we wave our arms about to the jaunty ablutions of our devil-may-care catharsis of nothingness. Nothingness we forget to remember with all the love and joy we gratefully refuse to turn our backs on. Terpsichore, a living nature of will slipping and gambling towards a provocative Old Testament. As I forget the windy soul of the villanelle, I forget buzzing and banging in and out of loose shutters.
Right.
Okay, this is my latest. It's called Sacred Grounds. Sunrise, surprise, see all who bear up under our screw and work. All under our plunder and blunder into the valley, asunder and wonder, there is out there, why and boo the yoke of rhyme. I am riding underneath the sky of darkness and gloom. Yes, my friend, gloom is back, and I ride on the sand of knowledge and surf. Surprises come and go at sunrise. The sky is dark, like a wall of cement. Poema. This life I live to live and to love as best I can. I jive myself, but I wonder about people I might meet. Not asunder, but keep tight ramblings, a class of myself, about myself. Bay Area, the comings and goings of people, all of whom come above me, all of them. My poem breaks for the pole like free verse, free at last. Rhymes come and go, they cling like Poe, drunken mystic of American life and letters. Prose is like an albatross, a goony bird. It begins awkwardly on the ground, but once in the air it takes off and soars gracefully above us. Halloween poem. Halloween is 2 days ahead. Trick or treat. I feel no dread of people, children, and adults dressed to kill. A pumpkin is blessed, a gap-toothed jack-o'-lantern glowing against the full moon. Flowing karma almost like a Van Gogh painting. A starry night. Row ahead, you intrepid yuppies. But I ask, where's the shore? Our overweight coxswain Donald Trump lays low and hopes for the best. Stroke, the witching hour is far and near. Birthday. Today is, I turn 75. Arrive at the Trieste, the Waldorf. Connive, it is though I am in New York. Time of play, a play and of work, and a penance of the way I took to be spirit. Say what I mean and how I want to mean it. See myself as others see me and not as I see myself, and I might go absolutely mad. I fight people's opinions as though it were a swarm of flies. They say no truth. I tell no lies.
Beautiful.
Poema. The day after I turned 75. Yes, it is good to be alive. There are days ahead. I paddle in my mind. Sigh, a whisper here, a note here. Now and then there is here. Bow and scrape to the here and now. It was yesterday. A grand ball, it is tomorrow. A poem is like a race. It begins with rhyme, then breaks with a pole of free verse. You are free, Whitman. Rejoice in your words.
Thank you, Mr. Owen.
Thank you very much.
Beautifully done. All right. And now the,
After Edward is Brett.
okay. And the respected and well-known Mr. Ed Maitu.
We all become legends in our own minds.
Did you say legends in your own mind?
In our own minds,
Thank you.
all of us.
Okay.
Thank you, please, I've had enough. Yes, it was fine, just swell. I really mean it was just grand and done to please. You really know just how to. It was supreme. And thanks again. You couldn't have done more. So thank you, please. I've had a real good time tonight. The more lips song, tulips, who loves tulips, and four lips, who loves the four lips. Four lips are better than two lips on Sundays. There are more lips than all of our gardens can grow. We ask for more lips than four lips of friends. We want more lips, for more lips seem better than four lips. He loves pear pits, she loves snake pits. I love pits in the side of a mountain, but tulips, who loves tulips? We seek the taste and the essence of more pits. We want lip pits, we want lip pits, and the essence of four and of more lips. Even more lips are better than more lips. We seek more lips of friends than are there. Effie in the kitchen. Entering, I see, feel the mess and the litter, pot soaking, dirty dishes on the sink, lights flaring at midday, rotting apple and pepper, coffee can empty, cat sniffing the garbage, spilling on the floor. And Effie is mewing, Evelyn is mewing. Effie insists on suffering, drinking too much. Stop it, I tell her, stop it. Today, she promises, but again she's lying on our kitchen floor, wet black eyes staring, dress matted to her thigh, fluttering paper, plastic swan, a bob upon a lake, and outside the rain, one Berlin day. Clinging above Parnassus, disattached from surfaces, bathing surrounded by her clothes, the lady then lies under the table, eating from refrigerated tins, drinking milk from cartons. Her friend, the painter, pointing out the walls needing brighter colors, says, "You sweet thing, that fixture wants a ceramic chandelier." Not much time, not much time. The maker's getting old, he says. The handmaker's hand, the poet Lawrence Fixel wrote, it strays on purpose. Time, he says, to discover. Time to destroy, to discover. Insides are being sorted out. Rains eroding to the rock. Past time for adapting the voluptuous pearls the safe way. Put no gloves on the shuttle. Sand falls, empty rooms. Raping a carpet from wall to wall, slanting down under a low roof after that earthquake. Thank you.
Thank you. That's my kid.
Brett, and after Brett is Stephanie.
Be good and well known, but Peter.
Okay, W-O-K. The theme misunderstood from the very beginning. Woke, dummy, not walk. You love cooking with a wok. Oil just hot enough. Ginger, greens, thin strips of other ingredients. Eggplant, onions, peppers, red peppers. A sizzle of awareness, awesome aroma overtakes the chef.
Nice.
Woke, past tense for awake, awake, aware, this instant and the landmarks. They talked, read, and drank all night. Your poetry is not just empty remarks. Your poetry is penetrating remarks. Still talking in morning light, they walked down to the wharf. One sailed out from there. For Jim Alexander. November 11th, 2019. Out of the corner of his ear, he heard the vocabulary of war. Veterans Day, a recruitment ad. The Trump administration, administer what? Hate and repression? Analysis, apology, sucking up to, even when we don't want to, the dogs of war, the language of hate. The nearly always myth of service. See them called up to lay out barbed wire at the border. Where is the counterweight? Where is there more than lip service to ending war and useless fortification? A moment's quiet in the backyard, or a city park, the rooster without a clock, crow caw and dog bark, tire hum, enriching our language under a blue sky. The words reconciliation, caring, resistance, a subversive mix within the drone of thoughtless war and constant verbiage.
Wow.
Yeah.
November 11th, 2019, number 2. Happy Valentine's Day, happy Veterans Day. I guess what bothers me is the word happy. Happy Veterans Day. Some of my best friends are veterans. I did stupid things in my youth too. We didn't know any better. Chronic patterns of war industry, Dulles Wars, Korean War to permanent war. American wars, American gun running. Some of my best friends are veterans, particularly those who say never again and mean it in every fiber of their being. That should have carried weight. Their testimony should have ended war, but it hasn't. All quiet on the Western Front. Gantz's accused, Max Sandman in the death cell should have brought us to our senses, given us some notion of war and what war is. The Habakasha made a final judgment of war. Setsuko Thurlow's lifelong effort, the flash of light, the scars. When will we let go? Let go of glorifying, let go of an oblivious response and allegiance to war.
Yes.
And after Stephanie is Duduman.
Okay, Stephanie and Rudamon, and get this set for you here. Oh, you know how to do all this.
Yeah,
Let me
thank
make
you.
sure you're.
I have.
Oh yeah, you're.
Am I framed?
Oh yes, you are.
Good.
You are
Framed.
beautifully framed.
So I'm going to read 2 Mary Oliver poems. This is a portion of one called Early Morning, My Birthday. The snails on the pink sleds of their bodies are moving among the morning glories. The spider is asleep among the red thumbs of the raspberries. What shall I do? What shall I do? The rain is slow, the little birds are alive in it, even the beetles, the green leaves lap it up. What shall I do? What shall I do? The wasp sits on the porch of her paper castle. The blue heron floats out of the clouds. The fish leap, all rainbow in mouth, from the dark water. This morning the water lilies are no less lovely, I think, than the lilies of Monet. And I do not want any more to be useful, to be docile, to lead children out of the fields into the text of civility, to teach them that they are not better than the grass. So good, Mary Oliver, great. And here's one called Some Questions You Might Ask. Is the soul solid like iron, or is it tender and breakable like the wings of a moth in the beak of an owl? Who has it and who doesn't? I keep looking around me. The face of the moose is as sad as the face of Jesus. The swan opens her white wings slowly. In the fall, the black bear carries leaves into the darkness. One question leads to another. Does it have shape, like an iceberg, like the eye of a hummingbird? Does it have one lung, like the snake and the scallop? Why should I have it and not the anteater who loves her children? Why should I have it and not the camel? Come to think of it, what about the maple tree? What about the blue iris? What about all the little stones sitting alone in the moonlight? What about roses and lemons and their shining leaves? What about the grass?
Yeah. Mary Oliver. All right.
Come! Let's go to the graveyard in time! I told you, man, not to bring me out here. I am scared. You see the shit run down my leg? You seen? What? Come! Think him up! Think him up! What took you so long? Open it. We call upon. Hey-day, iron. Hey-day, iron. They're called the jokers. They laugh at them. They seen him alongside the road. She was there, and they said, she's homeless. And they said, you don't know when you end up. And they turn around, they looked, and they seen. They could not believe it. Then they looked one day, they found themselves knocking on the door, said, can you let me in? They thought they were better than others. They said, oh, we'll get rid of them if we could. Give them. The only way to get rid of me is alcohol and smallpox and measles and syphilis. They came upon the ridge riding. They are called the Ghost Riders. First to come will be the Dog Tribe. The Kodiak Riders came from inner space to these here times. And then she came. It was a white buffalo. She came and she whipped. And many thunder. When she moaned, when she moved, there were millions of them. And they came along the tracks. And they said, they did not eat them. They said they shipped them off to the reservation, you seen. We eat them along the way. Oh, man. The guy said, what? The best time to drink out of a faucet is at night. And he looked around, he said, what happened to them? They all became light and lighter than yonder you will see. Come, let's go to the graveyard and close the gate. I said, close it, close it. The graveyard of time, you see.
And after Joseph is Robert Ruth.
Oh.
Sorry.
What?
I couldn't hear what she said.
Oh, it's this Joseph.
Oh, okay.
There are two Josephs in here. Sorry about that.
Give me a little notice.
Oh, yes. We'll give you notice. Hi!
Hello, everyone. Good to be here.
Good to be here. Give him a round. Come on, people. Wake it up. Come on.
Let's take a stroll through history at things sometimes forgotten. How the hearts of men by laws themselves confirmed how they were rotten. Or even in these very states, there was a time not long ago when a railroad that went underground meant that a noose for them could throw. And trying to be honest and give respect known to be due meant hanging from a tree limb with no breath allowed in you. 'Cause a slave was just some property to be controlled by others' will. And if somebody tried to break the yoke, the states had laws to whip and kill. Also look around this globe, not only now but back through time. Consider worlds beheld by eyes that last through ages with their rhyme. What is the common bond that makes a hero truly one? Is it not their love for others? Oh, forget it. You know, I'm trying something new here. Trying to turn a poem
Sounded
into a
good to
song.
us.
Is it not their love for others that does not settle for not quite? Sometimes meaning having courage to be a light within the night. And if it meant being unique, there was no fear more than their love. And that defines a courage to be for kindness a willing glove. Harriet Tubman and William Taft, examples to the T, risked life and limb on violently to serve what's called humanity. When Germans scoured Europe on a quest of genocide, it was the brave and truly noble who kept the Jews safe and hidden inside. In the times of any Holocaust, and they repeat through all of time, the heroes are the ones who won't on the labeled victims climb. The ones who for equality or kindness or belief saw humans in their suffering and offered their relief. But in times of war and tyranny, with kindness comes a heavy price. When laws make someone criminal for acts of being nice. Like feeding who is labeled, or offering their rest, or doing what the seer said, who said it's best when all are blessed. Whether praying for an enemy, or giving more to those who steal, there are those who love in theory, and those who love for real. We are told to love each other by leaders we consider wise, the ones we call the most beloved, or wait to see come from the skies. So look around and see today if history repeats. Is there anyone by names they're called who finds their name brings their defeat? Is there a group or any like who are but strangers to us all, yet find hatred in us stirred by names we blindly call? The legends and the heroes and the mentors of all time varied in intensity in the targets of their rhyme. But one thing that is constant in the ones we call the greats is their impact and desire to inspire people's fates. We can look to find the bad things and water them with words, so that vines choke someone's spirit and leaves it food for hungry birds. Or we can be a bit more noble and show much more civil strength by never doubting good should always win, proven by our love's own length. Let there be peace in our time again, and remember, the absence of forgiveness is an arrow to the heart of the future, always leaving wounds, or reason for wounds that require a suture. One more time for that ending. The absence of forgiveness is an arrow to the heart of the future, always leaving reasons for wounds. I forgot it again, dang it. Anyway, that's it. Have a great time.
That was great.
Robert Lavina. And after Robert is Dan Bloomfield.
Yes, Dan, we want it.
Spaghetti Western. You smoked the dope of horoscope. Got the same birthday as Lee Van Cleef, a B-list actor who played the bad to Clint Eastwood's The Good and Eli Wallach's The Ugly in classic Sergio Leone spaghetti western. Well, you've never been good enough for the good anyway, and you're not that ugly, so okay, you admit it, you passive-aggressive, subversive rascal, without shame, without apology. You like being linked with the bad. You're simpatico with the bad. As long as it's B-list bad, pretend bad. Thank you.
I like these there, too. Oh, I like it. Oh, that's neat. Rather, he had a great sneer.
More. We're gonna get out of here.
On a roll.
2 minutes.
What, Kaiser? Am I framed wrong? Okay, so, yeah.
Hear you.
All right, so this is to prove that cartoons sometimes transcend the nature of the page. And there are 3 characters, but really only 2 things being said. So,
Oh, that's an old Jewish joke.
is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So the first character says, "Hey Jules, what you doing?" Jules said, "I've started an endangered list." Well, what's on it? Well, empathy, compassion, kindness, sympathy, decency, sensitivity, integrity, altruism, affection, benevolence, heart tenderness, love, humanity, charity, grace, courtesy, tolerance, mercy, intelligence, leniency, understanding, common sense, goodwill, patience, wisdom, ...
I saw that and go, I'm going to read that.
And, all right. So this was written up in Oregon, in Corvallis, and inspired by that location at a friend's house some years ago. Title is End of Day. Nearby this window is wide open. As the lowering colors of the sky silhouette a distant line of trees, the cool, settling air is drawn in. Dusky, gentle wafts. In its dark currents are carried all that the night is. The aroma of farm and field, newly turned earth, mown hay, the blossoms and pollen dispersed by the million billion plants of this far, wide, and green valley. It is the sighing, daily breath brought on by the grand shadow, swiftly, silently sweeping over all. Later, after the warm colors chill, the dark, the heavy air's incense carries more. The drifting dandelion tumbling unseen in air, the scurry of furtive life under fallen hay, and the moist soil with its denizen worms. In woodlots, motioning limbs occlude silent stars, an owl's feather falls. The unseen myriads of the air hum and zing, and shadowy waters slip over dark, cold, mossy stones. A distant train, a cat's eyes shimmer. Dew forms on the tangy metal of stilled machines. Yes, this air is ancient, and something's inveigled in its silence. Each wan draft brings more than expected, for the earth's breath goes whither it may over hill and dale, sleek along a night bird's moonlit wing, swirling idle papers along a small town's cooling sidewalks, the whispers of strollers, strands of perfume, dinners and fresh pie on such a breeze. I travel while sitting perfectly still, near a window through which the languid night air haunts, bringing inside the messengers the vast night would rather keep outside, traveling our world and the night over. And I've read this one here before, but I kind of like it, and it has to go with, is it whatness? Is that what?
You don't even know.
I can't remember what.
Whoa.
Wokeness, thank you. I knew it had a W and an S at the end. Wokeness.
You're hilarious.
So here we go. Now I'm going to give it the original title, The Art of Whaling. It comes in sea swells, graceful and slow. It likes to turn and roll gently as it moves through the water in migrations that circulate with the oceans, curving with the earth. Their swims cover thousands of miles that even the youngest make just after they're hardly born. Their broad mouths smile with the sea, and their eyes are quiet, pensive, and slow. They echo whistling queries across the broad gray ocean floors and in turn question the answers in casual conversation. They travel with the wind of the ocean's current and tide, touched by the moon on their backs, water silver radiations of the spine. These creatures are touched more by the moon than we, and their hearts are big enough to sleep in. Thank you.
All right.
Martin Joseph.
Martin Joseph, you knew you were after me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Martin Joseph, for God's sakes. All right. There we go. Let me frame you up a little bit there. There you go. Very handsome now.
Good evening, Sacred Ground.
Good evening.
When I was a kid, I used to go to the movies, and there was these huge theaters with big screens and dots all over them. And almost 70 years later, I'm joining the equivalency of the 35 millimeter group. This is called, Is It Worth the Dots? Is it worth the dots? Are you creating an illusion or recording reality? How do you expect your images to move people from here to there? And where is here? And where is there? What is the mechanism of those sympathetic vibrations that ask me to feel the same way as you? Are you sponsored by Adolf Coors Brewing Company? Are you sponsored by Big Tobacco, by the National Football League, by the U.S. Army, or by the DVD of The Wolf of Wall Street? Are you sponsored at all? Are you all alone? All alone? All alone? Just hoping to have a small community and maybe one or two to carry on after you're gone? Is it at long last worth the dots? Can you, like Diego Velázquez, slip a small image of yourself into a portrait of the rootlings of a rich family? Is it worth the words? Someone has to write them. Do you tie reality and imagination together like two opposing ends of the same shoelace? Is it a very real conversation with an imaginary pig? Will little green apples really bring rain? Will Stan Lee's alien friends give him a last ride home off of the asteroid? Will the vastness of the universe ever excuse Donald Trump? At least he doesn't kill the baby, said the nun, ignoring all the Catholic bones drying in the desert. Is it worth the effort? What makes you think that your snowflake is unique? What makes you think that someone somewhere will be standing in the snow, tongue outstretched, waiting to taste yours? Where is the colony of ants whose combined efforts will do the things that you cannot, will imagine the details that you cannot, will light the lights and set the stage, clothe the actors and feed them? And who will remind you of where you were and what you were doing and thinking and how it looked the last time that everything was rolling? Is it worth the time? Whose story is not being told? Who cannot see the light because it is just way too far up there? Who has the tears? Who has the joy? Who has the simple beauty and the sameness of each day? Who can even make it rhyme? Who can make it worth the time? Finally, is it worth the lives? Are there places you cannot go and still come back to tell the tale? Are there places where the bugs will crawl out of the walls to eat you alive? Places where they murder journalists or just assassinate their character so that no one will believe them? Consider all of this before you begin. Is it worth the dots? Thank you.
All right, so since we do not know the future this evening, we're going to take a break, but Mr. Ed MyQ read a couple of things here, and it reminded me of an old joke, and I couldn't resist telling you. Okay, now, so I asked the question, and just say I don't know, all right? Just save time there. What is better than roses on your piano?
I don't know.
Tulips on your organ.
It's not my joke, but you know.
I want to hear more.
I'm gonna set this for applause.
Yeah, I really like the piece in your imagery was awesome.